engage early. The earlier you can engage with a QSA in terms of talking about your scope, the better the impact can be on understanding the risk of the scope you end up with and the cost. And boy, you'll see when I get towards the end, the cost difference can be dramatic. And we'll talk a little bit about what to look for when you're talking to QSAs about that subject. There are three big elements to PCI security, and this gets lost in the shuffle a lot. It's the software, it's the hardware, and it's the overall environment and the merchant environment that it's being used in. There's a big myth that continues to be perpetuated when you're on our side of the table that sort of gets, I don't want to say frustrating at times, but it continues to exist. The perception that, or the myth that, if I've got a compliant system, I'm compliant. Every day, we still have the conversation, I have a compliant system that doesn't store data. I have a compliant application, I have a compliant piece of hardware. And I can tell you that more and more with PCI and the results of breaches, you can see that that is not the whole picture. You can have compliant systems and you can have compliant software, but it's the overall environment. If you don't have, for example, secure remote access into your network or the merchant's network, you are vulnerable to a breach attack. So it is the whole picture, and that's what we help people understand. You can see that the card brands are getting more assertive about worrying about the sub-merchant's compliance. It used to be your processor would just say, try to educate them. Now they're saying, are you educating them? And it's moving into, are you helping them get compliant? So if you're a PayFac and you've not approached PCI before for yourself as a service provider, it does start with the gap analysis. You can see 6 to 8 weeks is just an average. It's less about identifying gaps, and it's more about getting you ready by understanding what's missing. A lot of times it's documentation, it's procedures. It's not that there's necessarily gaping holes in your system, but when you haven't done PCI before, it's very prescriptive and it's very different from other disciplines. I like this quote that most organizations have only 30% of the requirements in place. I don't like it because that's good. I like that it points out that everybody has to start somewhere. So it's not to make anybody feel terrible about where you're starting.